Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hakaraja Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Digimon Ghost Game the Anime episode number 22, which is titled Nightmare. And yeah, Digimon Ghost Game is back. From what I could tell, there was this studio hacking situation, and that's why Digimon was paused, the anime from airing, and the channel ended up airing some repeated episodes. But yeah, it's back. I think the last episode was like what? Last month, so it's back. Basically it's back after a month, and I'm glad because I don't know about you guys, but I have been enjoying what's been happening in Digimon Ghost Game. So coming to episode number 22, which is titled Nightmare, it reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street, where when people get stuck in these nightmares, and when they get attacked in the nightmare, they also end up experiencing injury in the real world. So the episode opens up with this random dude. He's running away from someone, and he ends up stopping in front of this river of lava, and of course he can't jump, but then he gets attacked and he falls and whatnot. And then we cut to the real world, and it turns out that Jellymon ended up thinking of this business opportunity where she's like, you know what, people are so busy these days that a whole lot of them are going to pay some good money in order to experience good sleep. So basically she reels in Kiyoshiro, and Kiyoshiro is like, you know what, people are going to figure out that this is a scam. But Jellymon is like, hey, lighten up. You are now the expert on sleep. And yeah, they end up forcing people to go to sleep by using a Digimon called Polomon. And these are the people who are experiencing nightmares. And as they're looking at their clients who are sleeping, Ruri ends up arriving to the scene because she wanted to watch these cherry blossom trees, and she's like, okay, Kyoshiro, what the heck is happening here? Also, I have to say that you can kind of see a little animation error, because if you look at this picture, the pathway is next to the blue mat. However, in this picture, the pathway is not here, and it ends up being shifted way over here. It happens. So yeah, this is where Jellymon ends up telling Ruli about her plan, about how people are very busy and they want good night's sleep. And she's like, you know what, Ruli, you can experience this too. And Ruli is like, no, 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 I didn't come here to sleep. I actually came here to look at these cherry blossom trees. Even though I did see your advertisement online. And yeah, Jellymon is like, you know what, I'm going to give you both Ruli and Angoramon a free demonstration, and if you guys like it, then you'll end up having to promote it on social media. And before Ruli can say something, Pilomon's little bubbles come, and yeah, the bubbles end up forcing Ruli and Angoramon to go to sleep. And yeah, Kyoshiro's like, what the heck did I just walk into? But yeah, Jellymon ended up asking him to do it, and I guess he has no other choice. It's Jellymon after all. So it turns out that the people who went to sleep, they are waking up because of their nightmares, and we get to see the dude that we saw in the beginning of the episode. He gets attacked. His jacket is all ripped, and he falls on Kyoshiro. And Kyoshiro says, "Yep, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad." And an ambulance is being called. Everyone leaves, and we do get to see this dude again near the end of the episode. And then we cut to Angoramon and Ruli, and they're like, okay, so this is a Sakura tree. And yeah, I think from what I remember, Ruli doesn't realize yet that she's inside of a dream. So as first they are running away from Skull Braymond, and they end up reaching this tree, and then they get attacked by Skull Braymond again, and they have to run. And I have to say, as far as the animation decisions are concerned, I really like the fact that the background, not in this particular scene, but the other scenes that taking place in the Nightmare Scape, I did like the fact that it was inspired by Van Gogh, the background sky and everything. So yeah, they're getting attacked by Skull Greymon, and Ruli is like, "Yep, we have to run away. We have to figure out a way to hide." And they end up at this tower where they hide. And yeah, as I said, the background, you guys, if you guys can see this, very Van Gogh, very reminiscent of Van Gogh. So yeah, this is where Ruli is like, okay, so what the heck is happening? We can't just keep on running, right? And in the background, if over here, down in the corner, you can actually see Pilomon. So basically, it turns out that everyone is trapped in Pilomon's nightmare, which we'll get to in a bit. So this is where they end up realizing that they are basically in some sort of a loop. No matter how many times they run away from Skull Greymon, they always end up at Sakura Tree, and they end up getting attacked by Skull Greymon again and again and again. And yeah, Goramon is like, let's run away. But Ruli is like, no, I'm done running, and Goramon, we have to make our stand over here. We have to fight Skull Greymon, even though Skull Greymon is an ultimate level Digimon. And the Goramon is like, you know what, Ruli, I'm with you. I'm always with you. And yeah, he ends up digivolving into Simba Angoramon, and because he digivolves in the Nightmare Scape, he ends up digivolving in the real world as well. And Kiyoshiro and Jellymon was like, oh, this is bad, this is bad. So this actually means that Ruli and Angoramon are basically fighting something in the Nightmare Scape. And Jellymon goes to check on Polomon, and she's like, Polomon, wake up. And then she notices the black bubbles, and she's like, were Pilomon's black bubbles always like this? And yeah, they weren't. They weren't. So yeah, Jellymon is like, you know what? We have to go into the dreamscape. We have to go and help Ruli. And Kiyoshiro's like, why me? Why are you taking me? And yeah, Jellymon is like, well, this is our business, right? We have to experience it for ourselves too. So Kiyoshiro's like, okay. But before we do that, let me message Hiro. And he ends up sending a message to Hiro. However, unfortunately, Hiro's phone got damaged. I think, Gamamon ended up damaging the phone. And there's like a 15 or 14 minute wait until the phone is repaired. So he didn't get to read Kiyoshiro's message. And I'm like, okay, I'm here for these episodes that don't necessarily always focus on Hiro. I'm here for it. So Kiyoshiro and Jellymon are in the nightmare too, and they end up arriving in the nightmare under the sea. And yeah, they start swimming because they end up getting attacked by Skull Greymon as well. And Jellymon helps Kiyoshiro swim faster. And this is where Kiyoshiro's like, you know what? Why don't we let Ruli and Angoramon find us? And Jellymon is like, yep, this is a good plan. So she ends up using BB Thunder, which Simba, Angoramon, and Ruli end up noticing, and they're like, yep, that means that Jellymon and Kiyoshiro are here as well. Let's go there. And as they're running away, this is where Ruli notices that, you know what, we have been running for quite a while now. However, we didn't loop back to the Sakura tree. So yeah, Ruli is like, yep, my brain is trying to work out why this is happening. And I really like these scenes because it goes to show that all three characters, Kiyoshiro, Ruli, and Hiro, they're smart in their own way. And Angoramon is like, oh, you're very smart, Ruli. And this is where Angoramon ends up telling Ruli that, you know what, maybe the reason that we didn't loop again is because of the distance between us and Skull Greymon. If we run way too far away from Skull Greymon, that's when we loop. So as we run towards Kiyoshiro and Jellymon, we have to make sure that we don't necessarily put way too much distance between us and Skull Greymon. So yeah, both of them are running. And they end up noticing Kiyoshiro and Jellymon as well. And yeah, Ruli is like, we have to go. We have to go near them, and hopefully everything will loop. And that's exactly what happens when these four people, not people, my bad. When these four characters meet, they end up looping back at the Sakura tree. And yeah, this is where Jellymon ends up telling Ruli that you guys are basically stuck in a nightmare. And Ruli is like, we are stuck in a nightmare, because this is when she realizes what's actually happening. And yeah, Kiyoshiro is like, yeah, we notice your hand getting hurt as well. And Ruli is like, yeah, I got hit by a rock. And Kiyoshiro is like, well, we have to be careful, because if we get hit in this reality, we are getting injured in the real world as well. And that means if we die here, we'll probably end up dying in the real world too. And yeah, of course, Ruli isn't happy about this. And then they get attacked by Skull Greymon again. And they're running away, and this is where they notice Polomon, and they're like, yep, we are basically stuck in Pilomon's nightmare, and we have to somehow capture her and wake her up. And yeah, but before they can do this, Skull Greymon attacks again. Jellymon ends up digivolving into Tesla Jellymon. She attacks Skull Greymon, but her attacks are too weak against an ultimate level Digimon. And Simba and Goramon is like, you know what, we have to work together. So both of them combine their attacks and attack Skull Greymon. However, that doesn't do anything either. And Kiyoshiro is like, you know what, I'm out. And he runs away. And of course, Ruli is like, if you keep on running away and keep on running further away from Skull Greymon, you're going to put us in a loop again. And of course, Kiyoshiro doesn't listen, and everyone loops under the ocean. And yeah, they start swimming towards the surface, except for Kiyoshiro. And this is where Kiyoshiro realizes that, you know what, I'm not going to die in a dream. And this is where, like, oh yes, I am in a dream. I am in a dream. So he ends up taking a stand in front of Skull Greymon, and I'm like, yep. This is actually what you can actually do in certain dreams when you're lucid dreaming. And Kiyoshiro is like, yep, I'm going to make my stand right over here. And while that's happening, Hero's phone gets repaired, and he's like, "Oh, I've gotten a whole lot of text messages." And Bakumon ends up appearing, and this is where Bakumon tells Hero about what's actually happening and whatnot. And yeah, Hero is like, "Well, I could go and help Kiyoshiro, but they're a bit too far away, right?" And Bakumon is like, "Hey, don't worry about it. You can text me to Kiyoshiro, and I'll go and help him out." And Hero's like, "You can do that?" And Bakumon is like, "Yeah, I can do that." So Kiyoshiro is making a stand because Kiyoshiro realizes that this is a dream, and when you're lucid dreaming, you actually have some sort of power over what's actually happening. So he ends up raising his bandaged arm, and he's like, "Yup, I'm going to make my stand. I have the power over here." And he ends up basically parting the sea. And I'm like, ooh, okay, we are getting some religious themes over here. And Angoramon and Ruli arrive as well, and we get an entire explanation about what's happening and what lucid dreams are and how much power you actually have during lucid dreams in order to control what's happening. And yeah, Ruli and Simba and Goramon are like, okay, so I guess we have the power to change our surroundings as well. And Kyoshiro's like, yup, have at it. And in the background, we can actually see Polomon trying to swim away, but she falls down. So Simba Angoramon ends up attacking Skull Greymon, and then Tesla Jellymon ends up turning into giant Tesla Jellymon, and she ends up smashing Skull Greymon, and they are able to defeat Skull Greymon. He ends up being broken into pieces. And yeah, this is where Simba and Goramon ends up capturing Polomon. If you guys can see over here, we can see Pilomon's little hat over here. And Bakumon appears as well. And this is where Bakumon tells Ruli that he has been trying to help other people stuck in nightmares as well in order to escape from Pilomon's nightmare. But before they can continue talking, this is where they notice the Skull Greymon is repairing itself, and yeah, they end up facing a giant Skull Greymon, and they're like, "Yup, we can't fight him again. Polomon, wake the heck up!" And they all yell at Polomon, and I actually like Simba and Goramon's face over here, like a little rabbit. So Polomon wakes up, and because Polomon woke up, the person that we saw in the beginning of the episode who was stuck in the nightmare, he wakes up as well, and his injuries on the arm are healed. So that's good to know. So yeah, this is where Polomon ends up apologizing for what happened, and she's like, "You know what? I ended up eating a whole lot of dreams of humans, and I wasn't feeling well. I overate, and when I don't feel well, this is the nightmare I get, which is basically Skull Greymon trying to capture me and hurt me." And Jellymon is like, "Hey, we understand. Just don't continue to always overfeed yourself, right?" So Bakumon ends up healing Angoramon and Ruli in the real world, and Jellymon is like, "Hey, why aren't you healing us and Kiyoshiro?" And Bakumon is like, "Well, this is your punishment because you were very close to basically experiencing a disaster, so you have to live with this, Jellymon." And Jellymon is like, okay, but then she turns to Ruli, and she's like, "Okay, Ruli, you'll be promoting us on social media, right?" And Ruli is like, "Kiyoshiro, talk some sense into Jellymon." And she turns around, and she ends up noticing Kiyoshiro talking to himself because Kiyoshiro is looking at his bandaged hand, and he's like, I feel strange because when I was using my bandaged hand in order to part the sea in the nightmare, it felt like it was me, but it actually wasn't me." And he's like, "Do I really have some sort of special power in my bandaged hand?" And I'm like, perhaps not, but yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Maybe the power that he has only works in the digital world or in the nightmare world because he believes that he has power in his bandaged hand. I'm not really sure where the writers are going to go with this. So we end up coming to the end of the episode. The episode actually concludes with Hiro in his dorm room with Gamamon, and Gamamon end up being treated with a whole lot of champions or chocolates, and he's sleeping. And yeah, Hiro gets a text that everything went well, and Kiyoshiro and Ruli are okay, and he's like, "Okay, that's good. So I'll probably end up going to sleep." And he does, and the episode comes to an end. So yeah, I liked this episode. I liked how it basically focused more on Ruli and Kiyoshiro without Hiro being there and basically saving the day. I kind of like that. I know that Hiro is basically the lead, but I also appreciated when writers end up focusing on other characters as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode. According to the previews, I guess in the next episode, our heroes Digimon are going to be infected in some way. So that could be interesting. But yeah, let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comment section below. And what do you think Kyoshiro's bandaged hand is going to do? Does he actually have power, or is that power even going to be is that power capable of being used in the real world? Let me know. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.